Otherwise, if I give you this phone, it's just an example. I say I dash it to you, it becomes yours. So also if I sell it to you at the cost of 100,000, it becomes yours. But the only difference is that what is the contractual agreement that is being made between me and you. So also there is a contract that is haram in the conventional, while in case of the Islamic, it is a contract that is halal. So having some similarities does not make it invalid. I hope you understand. I used to give this example for so many people to understand it better. If someone keeps a woman without any contract between them, legal marriage contract between them, and he keeps that woman in his house, cooking for him, doing chefane and everything, and another one went and have that contract, marriage contract, and keep it to the neighbor to that person, and he's doing the something. Please, are the two persons committing the same action? No. This is halal, legal, and this is illegal. But what is the difference? The difference is that the wali and the wakil were there, consummated the contract, and there were offer and acceptance between the two parties. And there nothing is. It is just an arrangement between the two of them. And this invalidates that contract, while this one remain contract. So it remain a valid contract. So some of these similarities between the conventional and the Islamic banks will not invalidate the product or services of the Islamic banks, in as long as they are doing the way they're supposed to. Another reason for this is lower patronage of profit and loss sharing product in Islamic banks. Usually, mudaraba, musharaka are the profit and loss sharing. But if you go to Islamic banks, you find that they are very low practiced in the banking sector. That's why some people are saying, why can't you use murabaha, musharaka and mudaraba, and you concentrate on ijara and murabaha? This is also another source of concern. And the reason for this is the nature of these two contracts. The two are trust-based contracts, which are based on the trust between the bank and the customer. As you know, now the trustworthiness of people is very rare. Initially, when you meet 10 people, you expect about 7 or 8 of them to be trustworthy. But nowadays, possibly reverse is the case. So that's why many Islamic banks don't want to engage in this, and it is very, very minimal in their practices. And not practicing this does not warrant that Islamic banks are not Islamic. And they are avoiding this because of the high risk. Always they are trying to avoid risks of their deposits. So unless they established the creditworthiness of an entity or an individual, they cannot trust him to give or to go into partnership based on musharaka or murabaha. Another issue is the disparity that is being perceived by some between Islamic banking in theory and Islamic banking in practice. This is another source of concern. You will find out that in some instances, some of the relationship officers in banks don't care to protect the Sharia compliance. They can just fill the forms anyhow without following the rigorous process and the actual contract, and missing in any step will render the contract invalid. So this is also one of the reasons some people are accusing Islamic banks to be just nominal. They are just conventional banks in the disguise of the Islamic banks. And in reality, having the system functional and sound, as well as Sharia compliant, if at any point any person violates the existing rules and regulations, you cannot render the system to be invalid. You can only hold that person responsible for not complying with the system, not to accuse the system itself. As you have just the difference or disparity between Muslims and Islam. Islam as a system has its own established principles, while some Muslims have their own way of life. You can't blame Islam for the attitude of Muslims. So also you can't blame some attitude of some relationship officers in Islamic banks. You can't blame the Islamic banking system as an established system that proves its existence for the past 6 decades. Another source of concern is being under the same regulator. Some people tell you it is CBN that's regulating it, and CBN is a conventional bank. Yes, CBN as a regulator is regulating conventional banks, but it's responsible for regulating all banks in the country, be it merchant banks, commercial banks, or microfinance banks. Therefore, Islamic banks are not excluded. So, having Islamic banks under conventional regulator